From a pragmatic approach to search for gold in the Bering Sea with the little time that they have out there to meet their target for the season, so that they can save their businesses to the challenges that they face along the way that could end up wrecking their plans for success. Here is what Shawn Pomrenke found in the sea that will blow your mind. All right, guys, it looks like the search for gold continues. It's going to have to, if these gold miners are going to make their gold targets for the season this time. We shall take the voyage out to the Tomcod claim over in the Bering Sea, as we watch Pomrenke and his crew take on the quest for the search for gold. The stakes are high, as the team needs to get their hands on all the gold they can find before the season is over. Will they be able to meet their targets? If we can run in this stuff the rest of today and the rest of tonight, we'll have $250,000 in a couple days. I'm thinking join us on this voyage as Shawn and his crew search for gold in the Bering Sea. I've stretched myself more this summer than I ever have before. I still owe $1 million on the Tomcod, and I made a handshake deal with my dad to buy out the business for $1.5 million. As we mentioned earlier, Shawn Pomrenke of the Northwest Gold Diggers and his gold mining crew are not heading out to the middle of Bering Sea to faff around. Expectations are high, as the team only has about 2 or 3 weeks to get their hands on all the gold that they can get before the tides become too strong to search for gold. As such, when we joined Shawn and his crew, we found that not only were all the members of the team hard at work, making sure that everything is in working order, we also found that all the gears in the machines they had with them were turning as they sifted through the pay dirt, so that they could find that gold. Looking at how everyone and everything seemed to be up to speed, one would think that they had it easy while they were out there looking for gold. On the contrary, Shawn himself told us that it took them quite some time to settle into the groove that we find them in. Fortunately enough, settling into this groove helped them find this spot that looked perfect, finding all the gold they needed to make sure that they had a successful season. Now all they had to do is keep on digging so that they could get their hands on all the gold that may be there for the taking. That said, this is easier said than done. Sure, Shawn was able to get the operation of his dredge back on track in the Tomcod claim, but that was just the start of it. Now they had the Herculean task of digging up about 750 ounces of gold from the middle of the sea. Thankfully, this is actually within reach. We know that this is also huge for them, because if they succeed, they will actually be able to get their hands on the $250,000 that they need to complete the season without any worries. Pragmatically, Shawn is keeping a close eye on the 2 to 3 weeks that they have remaining out there. Hopefully, this will be enough for them to meet their target. Who knows, they may even be able to surpass it. Such thoughts must have been exciting for the gold miner and his crew, but for now Shawn remains calm and ready. They still had a lot of work to do. As such, there was no time to waste. They had to get to work. As time went on, Shawn and his crew kept up with the good work. Thankfully, it seemed as though things were going seamlessly. In fact, things seemed to be going so well that Shawn commented on it as well. Everything seemed to be moving as it should. Once they had realized that they had made some progress with the work, the team decided to see if they had actually found any of that gold. You could be digging up that pay dirt thinking that you are getting some gold in it. Imagine how disappointing it must be to sift through the mess and find that all you have isn't much. Luckily, this wasn't the case for Shawn and his boys. After sifting through the mess in the dredger, Shawn was delighted to find that there were some specks of gold in the dirt water. Now all they had to do is keep going. With any luck, all this hard work will help them meet their target gold haul that would be worth about $250,000. Unfortunately, all good things must come to an end, and the same was the case when it came to Shawn and his crew of gold miners. Sure, they were making some good progress with their search for gold out in the Tomcod claim, but they would have to stop for some time because some of the parts of their dredger suffered damage. Seeing that they needed to get some parts to fix the hydraulic line that blew up and the spuds that suffered some damage, things must have been tense for the guys as they waited for things to be up and working again. They waited was a minute taken away from the few weeks that they had to be out there searching for gold. As time went on, the team had to deal with certain issues. Fortunately enough, though, the team was able to get their hands on the parts that they needed with good time to spare. Now all they needed to do was fix it in time so that they could get back to work. They really didn't have any time to spare, and it was already bad enough that they had to use some of it to fix their machine. Instead of searching for the gold they needed to meet their target, progress may have been a bit slow, but before long, they were finally able to fix the damaged hydraulic line and spuds that brought their search for gold to a halt. Now they can get back to work so that they can get their gold. That was the only way they could make some money, and boy did they need it. Those bills were piling up back home. Once things were back in order, the men were quick to get back to work immediately. Things looked really exciting for the men as they dragged up the pay dirt from the depth of the Bering Sea. Even Shawn couldn't help but show his excitement. Maybe he could see the specks of gold in the pay dirt as they fed it into the Lucifer, but you could see him grinning from ear to ear as he kept on digging. The past streaks they were digging up looked as though they had thousands of dollars worth of gold in each bucket. With such a scene in front of you, you'd probably be smiling from ear to ear too. With that in mind, though, Shawn knew that this was not the time to let up. Sure, things looked good for him and his crew right now, but he knew that they had a target, so they needed to keep on pushing. If they keep working at a good rate, there is every chance that they may be able to reach their targets for the season. They may even be able to surpass it. And if that happened, everyone would be able to go home happily, because their pockets would be filled with gold, and all the money that came with it after all the risk and hard work they put in to search for gold in the middle of the Bering Sea. They deserved all the good fortune they got. Let's just see if they will actually be able to pull it off. Once the machine was fixed and the team got back to work, the good fortune they felt when they looked through the pay dirt that they dug up from that point onwards encouraged them to push on at a good and steady rate for the rest of the 2 weeks that they were out there. Every inch of that spot they found in the Tomcod claim must have been dug up during this effort, and as such they must have been excited about the prospects of meeting their target for that season. Surely they would be able to get their hands on $250,000 worth of gold, right? Well, there was only one way to find out, and that was by making their way back to their base on land. Once they were back at the Arctic Sea Mining Gold Room, the guys were hard at work sifting through their pay dirt. Their target was to get their hands on 750 ounces of gold or more, and today they were going to find out if they actually pulled it off. As you can imagine, this process was exciting and tense all at the same time. Each ounce of gold was counted, and boy did they needed to count, because this was their livelihood at stake. As such, it should come as no surprise that Shawn's eyes were firmly fixed on the scale as the digits went up when they were measuring the first container filled with gold. After a tense moment or two, the team released a sigh of relief when they saw that it contained about 123 ounces of gold in it. Not a bad start, right? With any luck, the other container would be able to help them reach their target, maybe even more than that. What was even better about this is that the 123 of gold that we saw on the scale was worth about $246,000. It just shows that Shawn's work so far with Myrtle and his crew was paying off, and with any luck they will walk out with even more than they needed to make their season a resounding success. After taking a break, the team made their way to the Pomrenke compound so that they could count the gold that they had left to count in a final effort to compile everything. They had Shawn even added gold they were able to extract from the inland mine, a mine that was now fully owned by Shawn. Our boy has been quite busy out there, hasn't he? The extract from the mine looked really good. This is because they didn't really do too many cleanouts in the inland mines, so this was something of a great bonus to them, especially as the price of these days. That said, Shawn will not be satisfied until they finally meet their targets. The gold that they had in front of them had been the gold that they had spent about 7 or so weeks collecting, so he needed the total ounces to come to a big number. This would show how hard he had worked all that time, and that must have been satisfying for him to see. After some time, the team found that they had another 146 or so ounces of gold This brought them to about 496 ounces of gold. Not bad, that was still about 250 ounces short of their target, but that saw them take just a little under $1 million back home. Incredible work. Add the gold they got from the Myrtle cleanout, and their team must have been delighted to find that they had about $1.3 million worth of gold with them at that point in time. Pretty good work, right? At the very least, this means that the Pomrenke company is still in business. To top it all, it will help Shawn and the team pay all the debt that they owe, and it would go a big way in setting them up for an even bigger haul in the future. The future certainly seems bright for Shawn and his crew. Great work, boys. From a pragmatic approach to search for gold in the Bering Sea with the little time that they have out there to meet their target for the season, so that they can save their businesses, to the challenges that they face along the way that could end up wrecking their plans for success. Here is what Shawn Pomrenke found in the sea that will blow your